Hi, everyone. Welcome to day 9 of our Adulting Life Hack Thrive Budget free video coaching series. Again, I'm your hostess, Natalie Pace, and you can always reach me at info@nataliepace.com. And you can watch back these videos and others at youtube.com/Natalie Pace, nataliepace.com. And of course, join me on social for daily money tips. So today we're going to be talking about education. And there's a few things to cover here because a lot of people think, oh, I'll just contribute to my kid's college fund, or, oh, I'll just pay my student loan debt. But there's a lot more to really consider here. And again, you might say, oh, this is a lot of work, Natalie. It's not. It's like once you consider it, you set it up, it's just part of your house. It's kind of like building a library and stocking it with books. You have all those books there to read, or building a music room and you have all these music instruments that you can play anytime you want. So just do it now, and then it becomes the way life is. You don't have to do it again. It becomes like easy easy stuff. It automatically is going to happen. So anyway, let's dig in because there's at least 10 things that you really want to understand better about education. Now, the top one, especially if you're a parent, is the ABCs of money for college is designed to get your child a better degree for up to half the cost. So this is important to start when your child is born, not just because you want to start the child fund when your child is born, but there are a lot of other things that you can be doing. For instance, investing the funds wisely in your college fund. We'll go over that. Teaching your child how to fund their own future with part of their allowance or part of the gifts that they receive, cash gifts that they receive. So there's a lot of things that can happen here. Also, once they get working age, should you set up a dependent IRA in addition to a college fund? So let's dig in. I'm going to start with the ABCs of money for college for you guys. So let's start there and I'll show you how to get there on that. And so here it is. And again, the easiest way to make sure that you're always getting the most recent edition is always to go to nataliepace.com and click on the book cover there. So as you can see, this is going to take you over. And one other thing about, as I always tell you, I try to price the ebooks really low. And this one, even the paperback is pretty low. And that's so that there's no barrier to entry here for you guys. So the ABCs of money not only will teach you how to design your college plan so that you can help your child get a better degree for up to half the cost. That helps because college is expensive these days, and they might actually want to get an advanced degree as well. So, but this also sets up the mindset, the thrive. Believe it or not, you can start a Thrive budget when your child is like first ready to receive their allowance. Hold on, let's go back over here. So here is a sample pie chart, and this is for a 10-year-old with $100,000 in their college fund. So even here, you want to invest, right? Because as we know, over the long term, stocks typically will return about 10%, and maybe slightly less, but stocks have been on fire. It's been bonds that have been going down. So 10% return means if you're depositing 10%, you're going to have as much as you deposit within 7.5 years. And your money is going to make more than you in 25 years. So it's really important to do this with the college fund as well, not just a savings. So be sure that you shop around for a college fund that's going to allow you to get as diversified as possible. Now, I did tell you that once your child starts working, you can set up a dependent IRA. And just like your own 401k, there's probably limited options in the college fund. You're not going to be able to find hot funds for them. However, if you set up a dependent IRA once they start working, that's where you can start filling this out more and putting in the hot funds. And there are things that you can do that are safe for them, like a T-bill, or opening them up a Treasury Direct account, or the Treasury iSavings bond was paying 10% yield last year. So it's paying about 4.3% right now, but last year was the heyday, 10% and then 7%. So there are ways that you can also, on the safe side, improve. You may have to, deposit some money into a separate account for that, like a Treasury Direct account. So that's number one, is that we want to set up the college plan when they're a child. It's not just the college fund. So do read the ABCs of money, because it's also, and let's talk about the Thrive budget a little bit. Now, obviously, your child doesn't earn any money, but they might earn an allowance at some point, and they might get gifts, right? So think about the same kind of thing as you would with your own Thrive budget. So we'll go back to that professional, that Henry, that's making $100,000 a year, right? It's the same idea, where half of it, now with your child, they don't have basic needs, right? So they could be putting more than 10% into education. I would encourage you to, again, especially once they start working, set up that dependent IRA. So they start really thinking about the Thrive budget. For now, maybe their college fund, most of their allowance would be going to retirement account that's in their college fund before the Roth IRA, and their education. Of course, they want to have fun with their allowance, but you should also encourage them to do charity as well. And maybe, since they don't have basic needs, or you can start teaching them how to shop a little bit for their basic needs as well, at some point, right? When they start getting their allowance. And again, do the same thing with gifts. Even though it's obviously a rainfall money, not income, I would encourage them to contribute at least 20% of whatever cash gifts they give to their college fund, and maybe even 10% to charity. This is going to be fun for them. With my son, what we did on his charitable contributions is we actually mostly we did it around Christmas, and we would donate Christmas gifts to children that were in households that maybe were underserved, or domestic violence, or anything like that. There are even group homes. But what we decided is that every year we would donate to the same age that my son was, because then he could shop for them quite easily, right? And it made it fun, and it made him take ownership of that charity. And he's one of the most charitable people I know today. It's just part of his DNA. So they grow up, and this just becomes the way life is. So it's a really good thing to instill. And of course, the other payoffs are the things I talked about, where charity is absolutely the best networking. So that might help them once they get out of college and they're trying to do their career. If they've had all this charity there, it's also going to help them get into college, right? So it's really, really good stuff. Now, I want to go back to the Thrive budget for the Henry. And let's say the Henry had a lot of student loan debt, okay? So their education budget, they may be thinking, you know what, I'm going to have to use my education slice for student loan debt. Now, ideally, debt is part of your basic needs, right? And again, you want to trim back on the basic needs. We talked about the big ticket the big ticket items. Trim them back so that your debt can fit in there, even college debt. If you are using that extra slice for college debt, you're missing out on some of the other things that your education slice could be used for. So what could those be? An advanced degree, a master's or a PhD. Move you up the pay scale. It's also better job security. So, the more advanced your degree is, the less likely you ever are to be unemployed. And also your pay scale goes up. So that's a good thing to invest in. Of course, you don't want to spend so much earning that degree that you never got any hope of paying off the debt. So you once again are going to try to figure out a way, whether it's through fellowships or scholarships or something, that you can try to get that advanced degree at a price. Or maybe it is that the advanced degree is going to pay for itself, that the learning institution is so strong in placing their MBA candidates or their PhD candidates that that it's going to be easy for you to pay it off, and it's a small portion of it. But the other things that you're missing out on are, we've talked about education being the highest correlating factor with income, and obviously a surgeon makes more than a gardener, right? But on the other hand, education about money is really important too. You have to be the boss of your money. We have far too many examples of athletes and people who are really undereducated being really taken advantage of by their financial advisors and going bankrupt. With Mike Tyson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Marion Jones. The statistics on athletes are pretty bad, but lottery winners as well. So, learning, and again, you don't just go to any old Yahoo. You want to grade your guru and make sure that they know what they're doing. Again, my time proven 21st century investing strategies work. So we have lots of Main Street testimonials, but also they're enthusiastically endorsed by Nobel Prize winning economist Gary Becker. And incidentally, the college plan, the college book, the foreword was written by a MacArthur Genius winner who also wrote a lot of white papers with Gary Becker, Kevin Murphy. He's another University of Chicago economics professor in the Graduate School of Business there, the Booth Graduate School of Business. So it's really important to grade your guru, but financial literacy education, we just don't get it in high school. That's why I call it the ABCs of money, or the life math that we all should have received in high school. And this is going to be important because, as we talked about, investing is your ticket out of the rat race. All right, so paying off student loans, I encourage you to try to put that into your basic needs, okay? Now, you're going to have to fix some of the other big ticket items in order to do that, but that's what I encourage you to do, okay? Other things that you might fit into that education. It might be that you want to learn a new language. It might be that you want to take yoga or tango classes, right? So things that are going to be fun for you. Now, of course, that could also be in the fun category of your Thrive budget, but these are ways to think about education, that it could be something that is going to increase your value in the world, even if it's just to yourself, right? Travel, like for me, travel is a huge part of my education because I travel to discover and to learn boots on the ground about the sustainability projects that I feature. So again, I try to do it sustainably. I try to coordinate all my travel so I'm not flying more than 2 or 3 times a year. Most of my travel would be by either train or bike or walking or ride share, something like that, where I'm very mindful of the carbon footprint. But travel is a huge part of my education. I mean, just make sure I'm not leaving anything out. Once again, I want to stress the importance of starting not just the college fund, but the mindset of how you're going to get there. Because a lot of people are just getting the college experience. And so they're taking their SATs, and then they're looking and they're applying to 6 different universities, and they don't get in their best ones. And so they're looking at the 6th one on the list that's accepting them, rather than designing a plan that might actually get them to the number 1 and get a degree from there. Just like I got my degree from USC through the route of SMC, and I got it for a fraction of what other people paid for it. All right, I'm going to end education here. Again, more resources, the education on education specifically in the ABCs of Money for College, on education as a part of the Thrive budget, in the Thrive budget section of the ABCs of Money, and make sure you're getting the most recent edition. We're in the 5th edition right now. It's 2023, and I probably will update for the 6th edition at the end of 2023 or early 2024. So be sure that you're going to nataliepace.com to get it. Thanks again. I'll see you for tomorrow.